The FIRE movement can be intense and isn't for everyone. Plus, it's not always feasible. Then again, staying in the rat race until age 65 might not feel feasible either. That's why a mini retirement might interest you instead. Today, we're talking retire early versus retire often, with a focus on mini retirements because I talk about early retirement in most of my other videos. I think you might walk away from this one with a new perspective about extended time off. Plus, you'll learn why it's more doable than you think. Before we get started, my name is Frankie. I make financial independence videos weekly, so consider subscribing to see more from me. Otherwise, like this video if I earn it, and let's get to it. So, what is a mini retirement exactly? Tim Ferriss is often cited as coining the term in his very excellent book, The 4-Hour Workweek. He defined a mini retirement as a series of planned, meaningful periods of time off from working. They're planned breaks from the workforce, usually for a few months or up to a year. Oftentimes, a mini retirement does include travel, but it doesn't require leaving home by any means. It's time to step away from the daily grind and career ladder so that you can relax, refresh, reset, reflect, and refocus. Refresh is a huge part of that because most cite how great mini retirements were for their mental health. This hiatus or sabbatical often has some sort of purpose or meaning attached to it. There's something to learn or find or see or do. It can be time to think about work, what you want out of it, and even consider a new career path, or just time to reflect on what makes you happy overall so that you can seek that out more often when you return. As you can imagine, the idea of taking purposeful mini retirement time away has grown even more popular since COVID reshaped the workforce and significantly changed the way many people think about their job, work-life balance, where they work, and even if they want to work in general. So, who is a mini retirement for? Well, the truth is a handful of different types of individuals might consider it for different reasons. A mini retirement might be for the person that realizes, you know what, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to work your whole life and save all the freedom and enjoyment for the end. It is a bit of a bummer to retire at age 65 or later when your best health years and your children's most important childhood years, if you have any, are behind you. Not to mention, getting into your 60s isn't guaranteed in the first place. Young people might find themselves intrigued by the idea of mini retirements if they view it as an opportunity to find themselves and experience the world. Imagine what you might learn about yourself with a few months away from a 9-to-5 grind, potentially in a brand new location. Parents might also consider mini retirements. This time off could mean extremely valuable time with your kids during critical development years. Plus, it's hard to keep up when you're 65 plus and your now grown children have children of their own running around. And if parents travel with kids, you can immerse the family in a new culture, giving your children exposure to new experience while they, or possibly even you, learn a new language. A mini retirement is not for the person that simply hates their boss or their job or just wants a break from everything. Again, it should be meaningful. It should have purpose. But, and I cannot emphasize this enough, a mini retirement has to be planned and well thought out from a logistical and financial perspective. Speaking of, let's talk finances because mini retirements sound great, but how financially feasible are they? How does one afford to take extended time off without massively impacting their actual retirement date down the line? First off, calculate your current expenses, then try to determine your expenses during a mini retirement, especially if you're planning to travel. It sounds simple enough, but it will take some work and research. From there, you'll likely need to save aggressively for a year or more. That said, I have found that savings goals are much easier to achieve when there's a very bright light at the end of a relatively short tunnel. And you might consider, by the way, using a bonus or inheritance if you're so lucky to help fund it. Early on, communicate with work. Perhaps you have access to a sabbatical or they're just really flexible with extended time off, although highly unlikely. If they aren't, see if your job would at least potentially be waiting for you when you return. Don't burn bridges and give yourself that buffer time to settle back into a role. Finally, don't forget about your financial responsibilities and long-term goals. Make sure you have automation set up to stay on track. And I absolutely caution against tapping any invested retirement funds early. It damages your earning potential, eliminates tax benefits, and comes with a fee. Bottom line here, I recommend you save 50% more than you expect to need during your mini retirement to be safe. Okay, you're probably at least a little intrigued by now, and if so, here's the part where I tell you it might be easier than you think. First off, when you leave behind your expensive lifestyle, you might realize it's more affordable to travel than you think, especially if that's the intent as you live like a college student or even a minimalist. Plus, you might save by canceling expenses you no longer need, like subscriptions, your local gym, a bus pass, or even your rent and utilities, depending on your situation. More importantly, the real reason it's more doable than you think is because you can still earn money during mini retirements. It's true that some don't quit work completely during their mini retirement. They work part-time online or they take odd jobs and freelance gigs to help with spending money. Yes, working means you're not really away from work, but it might be an opportunity to pull yourself towards work that you enjoy more as a career. After all, some retirees work because they enjoy it or want something to do with their extra time. I've even heard of early retirees sprinting to that retirement finish line only to discover that they didn't have a plan and found themselves a little bored. But why trade time for money? Why not make the best kind of money? Of course, I'm talking about passive income. If you spend a year or years developing a passive income stream or streams, you can keep cash flow steady. And that's what makes earning passive income so intriguing. Earning money while you sleep so that you can do what you want when you're awake, even just be mini retired. There are a handful of ways you can do this. Real estate, a business with great employees to keep it moving, online content creation, self-publishing books like I do on Kindle Direct Publishing, blogging online or on Medium or your own site, photography, courses, music, and I could go on and on. In fact, I do go on in 20-something videos in this playlist I'll link to in the description below. It's very transparent and hopefully very helpful. So with all this being said, let's directly compare the pros of both early retirement and mini retirements to see which one feels more appealing to you. For early retirement and fire seekers, your savings and investments stay untouched and are able to compound and grow much faster. You can escape the rat race 10, 20, or possibly even 30 years sooner than the average individual. Depending on when you retire, you might get years back of quality time with your child or children. You can travel, pursue a passion outside of money, or commit time to a new hobby without the thought of work looming over you. And you'll learn priceless financial skills that can possibly set up future generations for similar financial success. When it comes to mini retirement, there's a chance you can enjoy specific experiences that might be difficult in older age, like travel. Plus, this might be your only chance to enjoy extended time off, since living into your 60s isn't even guaranteed. It can be an investment in yourself because you might gain new goals or values or perspective. For parents, it can mean important quality time with a child that most people simply don't get. And it's also a good trial run for actual retirement and how to spend your time. As a bonus, it's just really nice to have something super exciting to look forward to, especially if that thing is something many people fantasize about but would never actually pursue. And I'm not really speaking to cons today, but I will say if a mini retirement isn't really well thought out and planned in advance, there's a chance it could set you back in your career and put you in a tough financial hole. Don't let that happen. Do your research and be very calculated about this decision if you go for it. Not to mention, leaving work doesn't mean zero stress. It's just different stress as you navigate a new routine and possibly a new location and culture. So early retirement or mini retirements, they're both excellent lifestyle goals and you can't go wrong either way. But what do you think? Is a mini retirement interesting to you? Have you taken one or are you planning one, or are you firmly on the early retirement path? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Like this video if I earned it because you learned something new or I at least got your wheels turning. Subscribe to see more from me if you loved it and want some more of it. Speaking of, this is actually my second video on this topic, so to explore this a little more with me, check out this video next. It's even more detailed and in-depth, so it's perfect to dive right into. Have an awesome week or weekend ahead. I'll see you there, or I'll see you next week on the next one. Thanks.